It was the moment America held its breath. A sitting president leaned into the mic and called a black congresswoman an ape on live television. What happened next didn't just break the internet. It exposed a fracture in the soul of the nation. The poise. Slur hung in the air like a gunshot, raw and unedited, as if the stage itself had gasped. The auditorium lights at Texas State University burned too bright, casting shadows that felt like witnesses. President Donald J. Trump, perched on his stool like a boxer between rounds, had spent the evening dodging questions about racial justice with the same tired boasts. "I've done more for black folks than Lincoln." But Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas's 30th district wasn't having it. Her voice, steady as a metronome, sliced through his bluster. "Gratitude doesn't replace justice, Mr. President. The numbers don't lie." Then it happened. Trump's lip curled, his whisper caught by the mic. "Shut your mouth, ape." The room didn't erupt. It imploded. A collective inhale sharp enough to cut glass. A student in the front row clutched her phone like a lifeline. The moderator's pen slipped from his fingers. But Jasmine? She didn't flinch. Her hands settled on her notepad, fingers splayed like roots gripping earth. When she finally spoke, her words were quieter than the silence they shattered. "America just heard who you are. Now let's see if they remember." By midnight, the unedited video had metastasized across screens, shared in church group chats, replayed on conservative talk radio with strategic bleeps, dissected by teenagers on TikTok with dueling captions. "This is who they've always been" versus "She provoked him." But the real fire spread in places algorithms couldn't measure. In Detroit, a barbershop full of men who'd never voted paused their domino game to rewind Jasmine's response on a cracked iPhone. "Damn," muttered old man Walters, wiping his glasses. She stood there like God was holding her shoulders. Meanwhile, the White House spun like a top. Advisors urged Trump to apologize. "Just say it was a heated moment." But he scoffed, doubling down on Truth Social. "Weak people play the victim. I call it like I see it." The backlash was swift. 200 GOP staffers defected to Harris's camp overnight too, while civil rights groups reprinted Jasmine's words on billboards. "We don't need to yell to be heard." 3 days later, Jasmine stood before a packed auditorium at Texas Southern, her alma mater. No teleprompter, no podium, just a single sheet of paper trembling in her grip. "They want this to be about one ugly word," she began. "But that word's older than me. Older than my grandma scrubbing floors so I could stand here. What is new is y'all finally hearing it." The crowd leaned in as she unraveled the truth like a thread pulling tight around their throats. America doesn't need a better president. It needs better mirrors. A girl in the back, maybe 19, mouthed along to Jasmine's closing line. "Their hate is not your burden." It wasn't a soundbite. It was a lifeline. By morning, teachers in Ohio were scribbling it on whiteboards. Pastors in Georgia wove it into sermons. And in a Mar-a-Lago dining room, a wealthy donor's wife reportedly snapped at her husband. "You still think this is just about politics?" Of course, the knives came out. Right-wing blogs dredged up her past as a public defender, twisting cases into clickbait. Jasmine Crockett, gang sympathizer. 7. Fox News hosts sneered. "She's calculated, rehearsed," as if grace under fire were a sin. But the harder they swung, the deeper Jasmine's roots grew. In Dayton, she knelt beside 12-year-old Elena, who whispered, "Why do they hate us?" Jasmine's answer, soft as a psalm, broke the internet all over again. "Because we remind them they're not as big as they think." Months later, the movement had a name: Clear Voices. A grassroots web of town halls and teen-led voter drives blooming in forgotten corners of red and blue states alike. No glossy ads, no super PACs. Just people who'd heard Jasmine say, "Speak when it counts," and realized they were the it. Even Trump's base felt the shift. One Iowa farmer confessed to his son, "I didn't like how he talked to that lady. Felt cheap." As for Jasmine, she kept her heels on and her phone off, crisscrossing the country in a van with peeling paint. Legacy ain't about titles, she told her team. It's about who picks up the mic after you. Final question for you. When history shouts hate and whispers justice, which will you remember? Drop a comment. Have you ever had a moment where silence felt louder than words?